Natasha, things have changed quite a bit here on the ground outside this ICE facility in Minneapolis, especially because there's now Hennepin County Sheriff's vehicles that are blocking the road where we saw those clashes between officers and protesters.
What's happening right now is that the organizers of this rally, who are in the middle of that scrum right there, they're being forced out of the City Hall area, drowned out by hundreds of people who are anti this ICE deployment in the city. The message to these organizers: get out.
There are hundreds of people here with their signs, report suspicious captivity. Remember, this is all coming as the DHS says that this is the largest immigration crackdown in the history of America.
He's going to do what he's going to do regardless. And like, there was a part of me that wasn't going to come out today because I was going to listen to our governor. But the governor and Mayor Jacob Frey have proven that like they're not for the people. And like, I can't just sit at home.
But the professional politicians, Omar, Walls, they're making this sound like the Civil War. They're making it sound like Germany.
Something important is happening in America right now. And it's not about immigration. It's not about ICE. It's not about left versus right. It's about what happens when leaders or so-called leaders radicalize people for applause and then panic when those same people stop listening. Because once a crowd believes they're morally righteous, you don't get to turn them off like a light switch. We've been told for years that certain cities are sanctuaries, that laws are optional, that enforcement is cruelty, that anyone wearing a badge is the enemy. And that message didn't come from the streets. It came from podiums. It came from press conferences. It came from politics who spoke in absolutes and moral certainties. And now those same leaders are shocked that the crowd took them seriously. Or at least they're pretending they're shocked. Here's the contradiction no one wants to say out loud. You cannot spend years telling people that law enforcement is illegitimate and then suddenly demand order when things get uncomfortable. You can't call enforcement fascism on Monday and then ask police for protection on Friday. You can't encourage outrage as a civic duty and then act surprised when outrage turns into chaos. This is not policy failure. This is narrative failure. Here's how it actually works. When people are told they are, quote unquote, saving democracy by confronting federal agents, by filming arrests, by interfering in enforcement, they don't hear nuance. They hear permission. And once that belief takes hold, any attempt to calm things down feels like betrayal. That's why the same leaders who fired up people in the first place are now being ignored. The crowd doesn't feel abandoned. The crowd feels used. And here's where things get dangerous. We now live in a world where 15 seconds of video outweighs 15 years of law. Context no longer matters. Facts are optional. Emotion is evidence. If a clip feels wrong, it is wrong, even if the full story says otherwise. That's not justice. That's just theater. And theater does not de-escalate crowds. Now, the panic sets in. Now the panic sets in because leaders realize something terrifying. They no longer control the narrative that they created. They wanted protest. They wanted confrontation. They wanted symbolism. And now they got real world consequences. Now they're stuck trying to look reasonable to voters while still appeasing a crowd that believes compromise is surrender. That's not leadership. That is damage control. This is not about defending ICE. This is not about attacking protesters. No. This is simply about reality. When politics is built on fantasy, reality eventually shows up. And when it does, it doesn't negotiate. It doesn't apologize. And it does not care about your slogans. Mob rule always turns on its creators. That's not ideology. That's history. And see, the thing about it is history is repeating itself in real time.